There's a pair of ships just up ahead.
Ships? But are we not still leagues from the shore?
The quickest route to the surge is due east, past the second galley.
Shula. How did these ships come to be here?
What do you imagine happens when an icon of water gets angry?
Really, brother, did you have to ask?
Tongaries. Fell creatures consumed by their hatred for everyone and everything.
Everything. So sharp knives, it seems.
I can smell the sea.
It's not far now.
How will we reach the surge?
We'll follow the coastline north. There's a bridge that'll take us across to the Cape.
No mistakes.
Might I inquire about the Ray of Light?
It's what prevents the surge from being reclaimed by the sea. And Dwalius by his people.
You said before that the child is bound within the surge. But you've yet to tell us how we're meant to reach him. I trust we won't have to hold our breath.
No. The surge wraps around the cape without engulfing it. If we continue to its tip, there is a path down to the seabed. And the wave's origin.
All right. It won't be the first dominant we've met at the bottom of the ocean.
It's not much further now.
The path seems well kept. Do you and the villagers often come this way?
Only me. Once every new moon without fail. It is my duty both as village elder and Walyus's descendant.
But surely no one blames you for what happened. Why should you bear the responsibility alone?
You misunderstand. I do it because I want to show him that he isn't alone, and that there are still some of us who would see an end to his suffering. Suffering you will soon witness with your own eyes. The forest grows quickly here. Left unattended, the path would be reclaimed in a matter of moons.
Does the light point the way to the child?
It does indeed.
Look at all the droplets of water suspended in midair.
Where they have remained untouched by time for 80 summers.
It's not right.
No. It's not.
There. Up ahead. Down in the center. Follow me.
He's still primed.
I'll never forget my first priming. The fear. And I was old enough to understand what was happening. One can only imagine how this poor child felt.
He is the victim of an unforgivable sin. Committed by people who saw him as nothing but a means to an end. He must be so frightened.
Then I'll ease his burden.
You don't mean...
I'm not going to hurt him. Contrary to the tales, I don't go around killing dominants for no reason. What if I told you there was a way to remove Wallace's icon?
I'd tell you you were a madman.
It's hard to believe, I know. But it can be done. Though, it isn't without its risks. Part of the icon remains no matter what.
So, it might still come to violence.
I don't know. It depends on the dominant. I've seen things end well, and I've seen things spiral out of control. But I do know one thing. If we turn our backs on this child, there will be no end to his suffering. And I think that a worse fate than the alternative. Don't you?
Very well. Do what you must. And whatever happens, I will own the consequences.
Don't be afraid, little one. Let me bear the weight. Hush now. It's going to be all right.
Is it done?
I think so. I can feel the icon inside me. But something's wrong. He wasn't just afraid. He was angry. All right. Let's see what you've given me.
Leviathan!
Just an Eggy, but a formidable adversary nonetheless.
Oh, look. As friends. Is everyone all right?
He seems calmer now.
You said Walius was frozen in time. But he knew we were here. How?
I don't know. He's never reacted to anything or anyone. Until now.
The child has been bound for nigh on a century. If he has been conscious from the first, we must remove the seal at once.
It's not that simple. I wish it were, but... there's more to this tale. It would be better if I explained back at the village.
I see. Then let's return before it gets dark.
I'm sorry, Walius. I will make this right. So, part of Leviathan is inside you now, is it? Does it hurt?
No. Not anymore, anyway.
Good. Because I still have need of your strength. If you want to know the rest, we should head to the Witten Hall.
Of course.
My lord, my name is Delina. By way of example, as I'm sure you're aware, the secret of the spell itself so they built the cairns. And thus we hid ourselves away. our story began. After the fall of Drake's Horn. Till next our streams cross.
To understand the spell which binds Walius, you must first know who we are, and what drove my forebears to commit such an atrocity.
This tapestry
Is our story, the one that brought us here. After generations of wandering, my people sought refuge in northeastern Storm, some 170 years ago. But in exchange for our safety, the Gregorian Church demanded we renounce our faith, and branded us heretics when we could not.
To be exterminated, as a lesson to others.
And so was it chronicled in the imperial histories, for anything less would have made the Church seem weak. Yet a handful survived. The few who did fled north and west, and in doing so discovered two things that would forever shape our fates. The first was an old legend, revealing how to make your very own Mother Crystal.
I've heard that one before.
Yes, yet it gave them new hope, however false. Our ancestors convinced themselves that they could recreate the divine if they could only find a strong enough heart. A living being capable of channeling torrents of ether. And the heavens provided.
A dominant. Well, yes.
They'd stumbled across a nostrum in an ancient ruin, which they believed could provoke a sudden outpouring of a creature's ether. They meant to enrage his icon. Leviathan would have destroyed everything, had our people not made their second important discovery. A means to stop time itself.
Where did they find that? The Northerners had no such magics, or they would have used them.
When our ancestors first arrived, the land was uninhabited, save for an old witch who lived on the highest peak. Her body had been consumed by the curse, a cruel payment for her long years of service to the Northern Thanes. So desperate were they to prevent the fall of Drake's Eye, they'd forced her to devise a spell to stop time.
But Drake's Eye did fall.
It did. When she finally perfected the necessary magics, it was already too late. As punishment for her failure, the Thanes exiled her to this forsaken place to live out the few days she had left. Knowing her suffering, our ancestors cared for her as best they could, and in return, she gifted them her spell. That even though she should die, her legacy might live on. So armed with both the knowledge of the ancients and the secrets of time, our ancestors settled upon an ambitious plan. They would create a new Mother Crystal and enchant it that it might endure for all eternity. Thus would our people's wandering, our suffering, finally end, and prosperity visit us once more. And all it would require was the sacrifice of a single child. A small price to pay, or so they believed.
Another victim of man's blind reliance on the Mother Crystals. So we know the seal's source. How do we break it and restore the flow of time?
Do you recall the dome of light on top of the cliffs to the west? Inside lie the ruins of an old temple. It was there that the witch built the Ver, a conduit of sorts that channels her remaining ether into the surge. But it's been a long time since anyone set foot in the place. And now there are others who claim it as their own.
Then we shall go prepared for a fight. That said, it may be best if one of us stays behind.
You think the village could be in danger?
We saw the ether flow from Wallius in all directions, but only encountered a single familiar. There will be more. And should even one make its way here, I doubt the walls could hold it back for long.
Then I shall stay. The Phoenix will see your people safe, tributary.
You have my thanks.
Very well. We should depart at once. I fear time may no longer be a luxury we can afford.
The Ver is not easy to find. We must first head north, and then west, deeper into the forest.
Oh, I never should have let him go alone. Take me while I'm... You! Shula said you were a force to be reckoned with. Hey? Oh, I'm worried about a friend of mine. He went into the forest and he had... Would you help me find... Oh.
Hail, stranger. Are you a rider by any...
I am.
Oh, I can smell it on you. And not just any stables. Something tells me you've never been one to ride half-starved birds with chine-gall and wet. If I had a guess, I'd say your bird eats only the finest greens and has her feathers groomed twice a day with a curl...
Nothing but the best for my Ambrosia.
Ambrosia, eh? Pretty name. What's she like?
Well, she's tall and strong. And her feathers are as white as snow.
You're joking. You've got a white chocobo.
I have, yes. I suppose they are rather rare.
This I've got to see. Can you bring her here?
I would if I could, but I doubt Shula's skiff could hold her.
Me dad's got a boat. And he's ferried chocobos before. You could get him to bring her. It'd be perfect timing and all. He's preparing for a trip beyond the wall as we speak. I'm sure he'd help you if you asked.
He would. Well, I don't suppose it would hurt to have Ambrosia around. All right then. Where could I find your father?
He'll be in the storehouse on the other side of the brook. Tell him Manda sent you.
Oh, I never should have let him go alone. Bastard things. I can't.
Just try to...
Is everything all right?
Ah, you're the outsider. I'm Fannet. healer by trade. And this is Talor, one of my patients. He took ill not long after you arrived.
Nothing too serious,
I hope so too.
But...
This affliction, it's like nothing I've ever seen before. He complains of feeling chilled to the bone, but there's no fever. And my most powerful antalgic hasn't done a thing to ease the pain in his chest. I'm starting to wonder if his condition might require a different kind of treatment altogether. Shula said that you were here to help us. You couldn't...
I'd be happy to.
You can. Don't worry. All I need you to do is speak to Talor's son, Pavat, over at the forge, and ask if he knows what his father was up to before he came down sick. Something must have caused this, and I want to find out what. The trouble is, Talor's too weak to speak, and I can't leave his side for long. So while you talk to Pavat, I'll pay his wife word a quick visit, just in case she knows anything.
All right.
You one of the outsiders, then?
I am. Shula invited me. Are you Manda's father?
I am. Got you running.
She's asked to see my chocobo, but I'd need your help and your boat to bring her here.
Or you could just say no. Honestly, that girl and her birds, she'll be growing feathers soon enough.
Well, truth be told, I didn't take the idea seriously at first. But thinking about it, it would make it easier to get around if I had Ambrosia here. Can you help?
Well, if you're sure that's what you want. The tributary says we're to treat you lot as we would each other. So, if you need me to ferry your bird over, then that's what I'll do. Still, they don't take the water easily. I'll need you to bring us a mimic gourd or two to keep her calm on the journey over.
And where would I find one of those?
Oh, don't ask me. It's been years since I last brought a chocobo across the bay, and I'm told the world's changed a fair bit since then. Where do you...
Well, the man who made Ambrosia's tack lived in Martha's Rest, and if I remember correctly, he traded in chocobo feed too. So I suppose I'll go and ask him.
I'll be sailing over to Northreach soon to pick up some supplies. While I do that, you collect your bird and your gourd, and then meet me by the shore. Just don't take too long, all right?
Oh, do you need something?
I do, though not from the forge. Fanit asked me to speak with you. She's looking into the cause of your father's illness.
I see. Sorry.
It's no trouble, really. Tell me, did your father do anything out of the ordinary before he fell ill?
Not that I know of. But then I hardly see him. He's always out and about, like. Well, at least he was. Suppose he might have been a bit more fidgety than usual, but apart from that...
When you say out and about, where does he usually go?
Just round the village. Wanders over to Blazia's place most days. He's a fisher who lives on the other side of the fount. They're old friends. Maybe he knows something I don't.
Maybe.
No sign of the child.
You don't think he's...
She showed them the surge!
Greetings, stranger. What can I do for you?
Your name is Blazir, is it not? Pavad tells me you're a friend of his father's, and that the two of you may have spent some time together prior to his illness.
His illness? Talor's never been ill a day in his life. I don't know why he'd start now.
Oh, Fanny doesn't know either. It was she who asked me to look into his recent behavior on the off chance it might explain how his condition arose.
Oh, I suppose there was something that struck me as a bit odd. He kept asking about the woods. Did you see anything strange on your way back from the shore? Are you certain? Do you swear? That kind of thing. I didn't, of course. But he wouldn't let it go. It was like he was expecting something to happen. It was just a matter of when. Not that I know what, but he never told me anyway.
Well, that certainly does sound unusual. And it might just be what Fanet is looking for. Thank you.
Don't mention it. Oh, and when you say Talor, wish him the best from me, eh?
Let's see what the healer makes of this.
I spoke with Werder, but she couldn't tell me anything. Did you have any better luck?
Nothing conclusive. But there was one thing. Blazir, the fisherman, told me that Talor had taken a sudden interest in the forest of late. He kept asking him if he'd seen anything unusual there on his way back from the coast, but never let on what exactly he was expecting him to have seen.
The forest between here and the coast. Surely not. But then... I can't say for sure. But I think Talor's illness might have some connection to the Tomberries. You may have encountered them during your time here. The small, scaly beastmen.
And you think they may have caused Talor's illness?
I do. At least in a way. And if I'm right, it's no wonder the treatments I've been trying didn't work. Oh, I know it's a lot to ask, but would you go down into Father's Fell for me? There's an altar there, and if my fears are true, an offering upon it.
What is going on here?
Please. I'll explain everything when you return, but time flows fast. I beg you, make haste for Father's Fell and take the offering from the altar. Talor's life may depend on it.
Very well.
No sign of the child.
You don't think he's...